And welcome to another episode of Gamerheads. My name is Roger, aka Rogue Leader 76, and with me, as always, are my co-host Blue,
aka Writer's View,
and my other co-host Mike,
aka Pezman Mike.
Welcome to the show. I see this every week, but this time I really mean it. We have a lot to cover. We have a couple of reviews. We have a review of Overdriven Reloaded Special Edition on the Switch. We also have the review of Hive Jump and a review of Don't Sink. We also have a couple interviews at the end of the show. We have an interview with Tom from the One Man Army, creators of Overdriven, and then we also have an interview with the devs behind Hive Jump in this episode. Wow, and
Grab some popcorn.
Sit back, relax, listen to the show, though, because there's going to be a secret password. The password is... No, I'm not going to tell you yet. But if you listen to the show, we're going to say the secret password, and we actually have a giveaway, a game giveaway for Overdriven. We got a code that we can give out to folks. So we'll say that password during the show, and we'll explain how you can actually get that game. It's it's a North American code, so I should clarify that. Right up front, but
that's okay because we can help you get profiles for
correct.
other regions.
Yeah, so that's the great thing about. I didn't realize you can actually do that on the PS4 too, but it's a great thing about the Switch and the PS4 as well. So, but we only have the Switch. We only have Switch code, not the PS4 code. So, but yeah, so a lot to cover. Before we get into everything, though, we do have an icebreaker, and I hope I got this icebreaker right. Because I was kind of out of it yesterday, and you two were chatting back and forth, and I was like, seriously, like, so my mind was so dead, and I was like, what is going on? But the icebreaker this week is, what is your favorite game based on either a TV cartoon or favorite cartoon based on a game? Did I get that correctly?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just one or the other. So yeah. So we were talking about.
There's only two options. So.
Yeah. So we were talking about Saturday morning cartoons and stuff, and so just thinking like, were there any really good games based on Saturday morning cartoons, or on the flip side, were there any good Saturday morning cartoons based on games? So actually, we would probably have to explain what Saturday morning cartoons are because
I know, sad.
They've sadly gone the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
They were cartoons that aired on Saturday mornings.
Wait, they don't air Saturday morning cartoons
Yeah,
anymore?
no.
They stopped that a while ago.
They stopped that a couple of years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Why?
Because they said like Cartoon Network and Netflix and even Hulu, like all those services, YouTube, all those services are there now. So they said channels said nobody's watching this stuff anymore, so then they canceled it. Instead, they have like, I don't know, weird stuff going on in the morning.
Yeah, it's all like morning news and like documentary stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that
another piece of my childhood just withered and died. Thanks, guys.
That's actually why I started the Saturday morning serial streaming series that I have, because of the fact that those are good times. You'd sit back, you'd watch cartoons, a big bowl of like, Fruity Pebbles for me, but
big bowl of sugar,
a big of sugar, and you would you'd watch all these great cartoons, and that's all gone. It's gone. It's sad. So we want to talk about
start the show off on the right foot.
Yay.
But so what is your favorite game based on a cartoon or favorite cartoon based on a game? Mike, this was both of your ideas, so I'll let you guys start first. Mike, do you want to start us off? What is
technically it was Mike's idea.
No
Mike.
problem. Yeah. Oh, hey, I love reminiscing about the old days. I've actually got both. So I'll start with my favorite game based on a cartoon. I've got a couple of them. So obviously DuckTales. But although DuckTales wasn't technically Saturday morning, I think it aired every day during the Disney afternoon block. But regardless, DuckTales, I loved DuckTales. One of my favorite game soundtracks. It's just the gameplay is tight. Anybody who had an NES and enjoyed Capcom games just loved that game. I also was a fan of, even though it was extremely hard for the Super Nintendo, the Inspector Gadget game. And
I never played that.
I haven't either.
Yeah. Well, the game was hard. It was a really, really tough game. But I never did beat the game, but I pushed really hard to beat that game because if you beat the game, the ending will show you Dr. Claw's face.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm going on eBay right now.
I was gonna say I'm going on YouTube right now.
Oh, cheater.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you want to do it the easy way.
You have to earn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So in the Inspector Gadget cartoon, you only got to see his right hand. Or claw or whatever. But yeah, you never got to see his face. And but if you were able to beat the game, they show his face at the end of the game.
So you still don't know what it looks like.
Oh no, I YouTubed it.
Oh,
you
so
cheated.
You cheated too.
Yeah.
I am working with a bunch of cheaters.
Was it Detective Kimball or whatever that guy's detective was?
Quimby?
Quimby.
No, it's not Quimby.
Is it somebody that you would recognize from the show or no?
No, actually no. It's not like a Shyamalan twist or something.
Oh.
It's interesting because I don't think his face really matches the voice, but that's besides the point. I'm not gonna give away anything. It's not Penny or Brain either. So. And then the other one that I really loved is the arcade version, the arcade game of Popeye, and I guess the NES port as well. Mm-hmm. The Popeye game where you're trying to collect all the hearts that Olive throws down and avoid Bluto.
Oh, I loved Popeye. That was great.
Yeah. And then my cartoons, my favorite cartoons based on video games as a kid. I loved Earthworm Jim.
Oh, did they make a cartoon off of that?
They did,
yes.
And the voice of Earthworm Jim was Dan Castellaneta, which
really
he's famously known as Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
So that was a fun show. I really enjoyed that. And then really aging myself here, but as a kid I loved Saturday Supercade. And that was, I think it was like an hour long, and they had cartoon shorts. So the cartoons were only about 15 minutes long, but they showed a bunch of them. And the different cartoons they had cartoons based on Space Ace, arcade game Kangaroo. They had a Frogger cartoon. There was a Q*bert cartoon, and there was a Donkey Kong cartoon in which Mario was the villain.
Well, he is the villain. He is a bad guy.
Yeah, in Donkey. Well, no, in Donkey Kong Jr. he's the bad guy.
No, he's a bad guy in the first one too.
No, he's not.
Yes, he's
rescuing Pauline.
No. Do you know why Donkey Kong did that? Because he beat the crap out of him. Mario abused Donkey Kong. He even says that in the
Oh, that's right. I think So Mario was an abusive zookeeper or something.
Yep. Mario's a dick.
Wow.
T-shirt.
Yes, with a picture of Donkey Kong on it.
You see now that this is exactly what's going on. Now that we've ruined Blue's childhood by saying that. Now Roger has ruined my childhood by turning.
We need to just rename the show to the Childhood Ruiners.
Yes, exactly. We probably get a lot of listens actually. So.
Oh my goodness.
I do remember those. I remember Donkey Kong cereal too. Do you remember Donkey Kong cereal?
Oh yeah. They had there was a giveaway where you could mail in your UPCs and get a Donkey Kong Pez dispenser.
Oh, did you get it?
No, well I didn't start collecting Pez until I was like 15.
Oh.
So, but yeah, I think that thing's worth it's worth like $60 right now, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not too bad. What about you, Blue?
Well, now that Mike said it had to be specifically Saturday morning as opposed to any cartoon, now I'm struggling in my head to actually separate out, wait, what did I watch on Saturday mornings? And what did I watch after school? And now I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's no problem. I think Inspector Gadget didn't necessarily air on Saturdays either.
True. I think that was after school.
I think it was after school.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Disney Afternoon Collection, obviously, is so good.
Mm-hmm.
You got the DuckTales, you got the Rescue Rangers, you've got Darkwing Duck, and lesser beloved is Tailspin.
Oh, I love Tailspin. Tailspin was my favorite.
Tailspin, yeah.
All right, okay. I think of the four, it's generally considered the worst.
Yeah, I agree. But I loved it because it was like Indiana Jones. It reminded me of Indiana Jones a lot. So.
So those four, I think, are the tops. But another one that I really, really loved was the Tiny Toons NES game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And you go around and collect carrots instead of coins. It's just like a completely run-of-the-mill platformer, nothing special. But I don't know. I really had fun with it.
I think I have Buster Bust Loose on the
Genesis?
on the Genesis. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Or no, it's Buster's Treasure Hunt, I think. I don't know. I do have a Tiny Toons game, but yeah, that's awesome. That's a good pick.
Yeah, they're fun. Anyways. And then as far as cartoons based on video games, Castlevania, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever see Whack-Fu?
No.
Or even know what that is?
I don't know what that is. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm not. Every time I talk to you, Blue, I feel like I should just turn in my nerd card because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is it related to Shaq Fu?
No.
Oh.
So
Well, then I have no idea.
Yeah, Whack-Fu is a MMORPG.
Okay.
And they made a cartoon of it. And it's really cute. Give it a try if you think I'm crazy and what the heck is she talking about? Look up the Whack-Fu cartoon. I think last time I checked it was on Netflix.
Oh, I'll have to look. Okay, if it's on Netflix, then it's got to be good. So
yeah, I think I binge watched the whole thing last time I had the flu.
Oh.
So
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
The Whack Flu?
The Whack-Fu. Yes, well done. Slow clap.
It's early.
It's early. Wing Commander Academy. Did you guys ever see that?
No, I didn't know they came out with a cartoon.
Okay. Listen to the voice cast of this show. It's got Mark Hamill.
Well, yeah, because he did the voice of in the Wing Commander games, 4 and or 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 or something like that. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's got Tom Wilson.
Oh.
Malcolm McDowell.
Yep. So all those characters were in the regular game too, right?
I don't think so.
No, Malcolm McDonald was.
Was
Tom,
he?
Mm-hmm. He was the villain. The people know this game, right? Like,
Well,
I can spoil it, right?
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm talking like
Thomas Wilson was also in the game too.
No, I'm talking like I don't know. The one that I played was the old SNES one. And
okay. This is
like there's no voices in that. I don't know what you're talking.
They had like live action.
They had live action ones.
In the game, in like one of the PC games.
Yeah, in number 4.
Well, yeah, that's newfangled technology. I didn't play that one. Anyways, I adored, as I think I've said on the show before, I adored the Super Nintendo Wing Commander, and so this show I thought was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
okay.
then also one more thing I want to mention. So everybody knows the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon.
Yes.
Did you know that Yonan Vasquez, who did Invader Zim, did like a little short pilot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No.
Oh.
It's so funny.
Huh. Like,
you need to look it up on YouTube.
Okay, I'll look it up. Yeah, now I feel bad that I was just like, I feel bad because I feel like I spoiled Wing Commander 4 for you, Blue, if you ever go to play that game.
Just put it in the backlog, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, just add it to the childhood ruining list.
I know. Wing Commander was one of my favorite games. Wing Commander 3 had Mark Hamill in it. That's where Mark Hamill started, and Malcolm McDowell and Tom Wilson. And then Wing Commander 4 was the sequel to, obviously, to Wing Commander 3, but it followed. Oh, it's such a good twist. Blue, you have to play these games because it's such a good twist. It's such a good. Those two games are fantastic. So,
okay.
I think they came out on PlayStation. Yeah, I believe it was just the PlayStation 3. So, yeah, those are no, it had to be before that. PlayStation. Anyway, I think you can get it on PlayStation 3, but it's good. It's good games. So, I did not know they had a cartoon though. That's awesome. For myself, I would say my favorite game based on a TV cartoon would have to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Not the very first NES game, but Turtles in Time was fantastic. But Turtles the arcade game was my jam. I loved that game. So that counts, right?
What's wrong with the first one? How much time you got?
Yeah. Not a big fan of that game. So I love that game, and then my favorite cartoon based on a game. Boy, I would have to say I loved. I have a couple. I loved the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Especially the live action parts.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so good. And then on Fridays, this wasn't Saturday mornings either because it was the weekly shows. But on Fridays they had the Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Yep.
And man, you know, Zelda and Link would always get in fights, and Link would say, "Excuse me, princess." Like, it was great.
I think they had a problem from the very beginning when Link was talking.
I know, that's true.
What is this black magic?
Yeah, well, and even the cartoon, the Mario cartoon, was based pretty much on Mario 2 because they had Mauser and they had, you know, all those other. I mean, they had some of the other Koopa kids, didn't they? Koopa Inklings, didn't they have the Koopa kids in some of them? But I think it was more like based on Mario 2, and Legend of Zelda was based on Zelda 2 as well, which is also bad.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so yeah, in the later episodes, after they stopped doing the Super Show and they just did they did a Mario 3 cartoon and a Mario World cartoon.
That's right.
And there was I don't know if you remember, there was actually a crossover episode with Captain N the Game Master.
That's what the other cartoon I was going to mention, Captain N the Game Master.
Yeah. See, now I ruined your childhood.
That's all right. No.
Oh,
I didn't know there was a crossover, though.
Yeah, and they brought back the original Zelda and Link voice actors. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, Captain N was awesome too. Like that, I don't know, that game. Oh, and then the other one, I guess it wasn't. That wasn't really based off a video game, but do you remember the D&D cartoon?
Oh, I love the D&D cartoon.
Yeah, that was
the roller coaster, and a portal opens up in the roller coaster for some reason.
It's dumb. It's so stupid. that cartoon was worse. But it was, you know, as a kid, like, I loved that stuff. So even Captain N, the Game Master, like, probably looking back, I have to watch that now. But I bet you that I would say this sucks.
No. You can never go back and watch childhood shows.
What's the matter with that?
Never.
I know. I did that once with the Dukes of Hazzards when I was a kid. I loved the Dukes of Hazzards. I had the car. I had the characters. Loved it. And then when I got to college, do you remember TNN? The like total
National Network.
Yeah,
that was what it started off as. Yeah,
they had they had just like a marathon of Dukes of Hazzard. So I was like, Friday night, when everybody else is going and partying, I'm like, I'm just stay home and watch myself some Dukes of Hazards. And probably like 2 episodes in, I'm like, oh God, how did I like this show? And, and I was like, I want to drink really bad. So, and then the other one I will mention too that I really liked, and it wasn't a Saturday morning cartoon. Oh, how can we forget Sonic? I loved Sonic. That was a Saturday morning cartoon. But I did like Pac-Man. That was on the USA Cartoon Network. They had like some kind of train that they had. Do you guys remember this at all? And Pac-Man cartoon was one of the cartoons. It was cool.
I remember the Pac-Man cartoon. I always thought that Tony Danza did the voice of Pac-Man.
I think he did.
Did he?
I think he did.
To Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And even if he didn't, he does now, because we're going to change that on Wikipedia.
Yeah. I always remember the Pac-Man cartoon Christmas special as particularly memorable. Yeah. I don't remember a lot about the cartoons, but I remember their Christmas special.
Yeah.
That's where they became friends with the ghosts or something like that.
Exactly. And Santa came.
Heartwarming.
Yep.
Santa came. Oh, I don't think he was the voice of Pac-Man. I'm not saying anything about him being the voice of Pac-Man, but I remember thinking the same thing because it kind of sounded very similar. So, yeah. So, listeners, we would love to hear what your favorite game based on a cartoon or favorite cartoon based on a game, or both. You can let us know. You can send us an email at info@gamerheadspodcast.com. You can send us a tweet, and that's at GamerheadsPC. You can also go on Facebook at facebook.com/GamerheadsPodcast. Or you can also go to our new website, and that's at gamerheadspodcast.com, and leave us a message there. So we would love to hear what you have to say. And thank you for everybody that does provide feedback to the show. It's awesome. So we appreciate it. All right, so going on to the news, then we have a couple items here. The first one I'll take, and then if you guys, because you guys brought up the other two items, and then Mike, you also had one that I didn't include, and we can certainly talk about that. But the first one that I have is from Nintendo Life. Facebook explains why Devolver Digital's Gris, Gris, Gris. How do we say that?
Gris.
Gris.
We've been saying Gris. We don't
Okay.
know if that's correct. We should get them on the show and ask them.
We should. But their advertisement was rejected, and Facebook explains why. So originally they said it was because, well, and I guess it still is because it was graphic content, or and I use quotes, graphic content. And it was rejected because there was a link in the ad. Facebook came out and said, no, actually it was a link in the ad to Devolver's digital Instagram site, which is also owned by Facebook. And in one of the pics of the game Scum, SCUM, there's a picture of a bare bum. So they're like, oh, that's not acceptable.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I agree.
So not only does your ad have to be absolutely flawless, but any site you link to must also be absolutely flawless.
Exactly.
That's stupid.
And remember, when they actually first came out, I think they said, oh, because there's the shadows of the woman, like, looks like she's naked. And then they're like, oh, no, it's because of the bare bum. And I'm like, are you just changing your story now? Are you just looking for something?
Yeah, the Puritan times.
Yeah, right?
What is going on?
Ironically, since, like, Facebook seems to be, like, caring all about that, but when it comes to, like, other garbage on Facebook, they don't care about that. Interesting. I don't know. Whatever. It's dumb.
I used to write for a site that their primary income came from Facebook ads that they would place on the articles that we wrote.
Oh. And
so the list of words that we couldn't say was just stupid. Like, we couldn't say but.
Well, I guess that kind of falls in line with their policy.
Yeah, and we couldn't say boob either. Like, even if it was in a quote, like
that guy is such a boob.
Kind of like I did a Star Wars one, and it was like how I forget the circumstances, but like Carrie Fisher said, because apparently they don't have boobs in space.
Yes. And
so I put that quote on there, and then the editor changed it to something that was just so stupid it didn't make any sense.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I don't know, it really compromised the content in order to make Facebook happy so that you could get ad revenue, and the whole cycle is just infuriating.
Yeah. It's funny that, like I said, that they are like sticklers for this, but and especially a link to the, it was a link inside the ad. That's the weird part about it. Like, what the heck? But yet they let other garbage like fly under the radar. It's just dumb.
Yeah, if it's not an ad, they don't care.
Yep, exactly.
But if it's an ad, then my god.
Yeah. Whoa, better be careful. There might be a link to something that's not appropriate.
Yeah, we're not only going to control our site, we're going to control third-party sites, whatever.
Yeah, dumb.
Is it wrong if this makes me want to see the picture more?
There's not much to see, I'll say. Because I clicked on it. There's nothing.
Yeah, everybody go buy Gris just out of principle to piss Facebook off.
Yeah. Right? Exactly. Blue, I think you brought up the next one. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. This is from the Wall Street Journal and also from GameStop. They are reporting that at least 2 companies are bidding for GameStop, and the deal to buy the retailer could become public by the middle of February. Citing a person familiar with GameStop, Wall Street Journal reports that private equity companies Sycamore Partners and Apollo Global Management are both interested in buying the company.
Yeah, and so Blue, that was my mistake. In my notes, in the show notes, I said GameStop. It's from Wall Street Journal and GameStop. I'm sorry. It's supposed to be GameStop. Or no, GameSpot. GameSpot is where the
Okay.
article came from.
I get
So
those two mixed up all the time.
I do that all the time.
I actually walk into GameStop and I say, "Can you tell me about video game news, please?" And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, shoot, wrong place." And then I just walk out.
Wrong location. So I'm so sorry. That is my fault. But I do that all the time. But yeah, Sycamore Partners. So they specialize in consumer and retail investments, and then as Apollo Global specializes in companies that have a fallout of favor.
Is that their business plan that's like written down?
Yes, actually, they said that. They said that they like to take on chances that other people have kind of given up on. That is actually their business model. So that's so interesting. I don't know if it's going to be a change in their overall model then, or if they're just going to be like, just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I don't think so. I would think that if somebody comes in and buys them out, I would think they would change their model. And it makes me also wonder, and we mentioned this before, but what happens to like Game Informer?
Yeah. They might consider that as as expendable. I don't know.
So
yeah, it probably depends on what Game Informer's books look like.
Yeah.
If they're making money or not. If they're not, I would think, yeah, just shut them down.
Well, with the ads they have in them, so.
Yeah. And this is not the first time that this, when Game Informer first came out, they were tied to, what was that place called? What was that?
What, Funkoland?
No. Yeah, maybe. It was a game studio, or it was a game company out of Minnesota. A gaming, like a retail store. Like KB Toys. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it was Funkoland.
Well, when Funkoland first started, it started off as Funkoland, where it's essentially the same thing as GameStop, and when you could trade in your old games and buy new ones. And then EB Games, it used to be Electronics Boutique, then they shorted it to EB Games, and those two were in competition with each other. And then Funkoland changed to GameStop, and they bought out EB Games, so then everything just became known as GameStop.
Yeah. So Game Informer did get its start with Funkoland, and then when GameStop came in and bought them out, then I remember reading this and hearing about this, that there was concerns that they were going to shut down Game Informer, but instead they're like, no, like, we love what you guys are doing. So I'm hoping, because
When was that though?
1990s.
Yeah, because print media was still very viable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they just celebrated their how many episodes? How many issues? Like, I don't know. Was it?
They had a milestone.
200 episodes or 200 issues, I think, or something like that. So
I don't know. We'll see. I hope. Well, just it's nice to have a game specific store. I know they're really going a lot with the Think Geek stuff, and then some of that stuff is pretty cool. There was a GameStop in a mall near my house that recently closed its doors, and that place has been there so long. How long have they been there? I'm glad you asked. I went to the mall like a few weeks after they closed down, and the sign, the letters, they took that off the wall, above the entrance, and behind the letters, I saw the faded sign of Babbage's. Now, Babbage's was...
Yeah, give us a history lesson for those
Yeah,
of us who have
no
no
problem.
idea what you're talking about.
So Babbage's was actually before GameStop and before Funkoland and before EB Games, and they sold mainly PC or PC games and PC parts and like gaming. They had like some really old magazines in there, but they did have some. They did have games. They did sell like Nintendo games for like $80 each or something like that. It was really expensive. But it was really cool to look at that and just see like, wow, that's how long that a video game store has been in this place. I think Babbage's went out like 89 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So that's my history lesson.
Yeah.
Probably that GameStop's problem was that it was in a mall.
Yeah.
Well, plus there was also another GameStop 3 blocks away.
Not in a mall.
Not in a mall, yeah.
Yeah, see.
And that one is still standing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens or what comes out of this. It depends on who buys them, right? So if it's Sycamore Partners, I mean, they might focus more on their retail investments because that's really what they do. If it's Apollo, who knows what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
they might just change everything up because it sounds like they like to like kind of take risks and take chance, So who knows what they'll do? I don't know. I guess we'll find out in February, though, huh?
Yep. Place your bets.
Place your bets now. The item here, the next one here, Mike, do you want to take the next one?
Sure, and this comes from Push Square. So, some big news. Bungie has broken up with Activision, and the developers for Destiny, when told about the news in a meeting, cheered and popped champagne.
Yeah.
If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know.
I know, right? Exactly. But who has just champagne waiting there? Wait a minute. We're gonna buy champagne for the moment we break away from Activision.
They threw out the fire extinguisher and just put a bottle of champagne in there.
Exactly.
That's for real emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just break that glass and that. But that's pretty exciting news. Like I honestly, so I loved the first Destiny, and I was really excited for Destiny 2, and I played Destiny 2 for about a week and a half. And that's when, and I know Activision, published the first Destiny, but that's when they really like dug their claws into it was Destiny 2, and just, I don't know, I just was not a fan of it at all. So, and also Bungie is taking the rights to Destiny with them, so it's not like Destiny is staying with Activision, so they're keeping Destiny. Yeah. So, and then I think they said that Destiny 3 is being made, so. I don't know. This might put a shimmer of hope back into this game that it'll be that much more enjoyable.
See, it's so funny that you say that because I did not get into the first Destiny, and then when Destiny 2 came out, I actually really liked that game. Actually, I mean. I don't know, Mike. I'm sorry. I know. I'm not.
It could have just been burnout on my part because, like I said, I played Destiny 1. Like, I played a ton of Destiny 1.
I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into it at all. And then Destiny 2 came out, and I beat the story mode, and I really liked that. And then, but I will say I can't play it by myself. It's not fun playing that alone. Yeah. It's one of those games you have to play with people. And I do understand that there was some multiplayer aspects that people are like, oh, we really like the first one more because of, the different, I don't know, raids and stuff like that they had. But I'm not familiar with enough. I'm not that hardcore, so I couldn't tell you like, oh yeah, that's why Destiny 1 was better or Destiny 2 was better or not as good, because that's not the reason I played those games. I just played it for friendship, with my friends. So
yep.
It wasn't the same for me. Maybe if it was really hardcore, I'd feel the same way as you, but I keep
saying I want to get back into it.
Yeah.
And now that they have that the new DLC, it's on sale now for $20. No, I can't add to the backlog. I'm good. I can't do it. I still got to play.
We hear the devil and the angel on your shoulders there.
I still haven't. Yeah, thanks. I still haven't unwrapped Diablo 3 yet. So.
Oh, if you're not going to get to that, you could send it my way.
You have not played Diablo 3 right now has the mission going on where it's Diablo 1 missions, and you play through Diablo 1 missions, you get like armor from that and all this cool stuff like that. How could you not be playing that game?
Are you playing it?
I played it.
Past tense.
Yeah.
I played it a lot.
Deflect, Mike. That's what you got to do. Just deflect.
That's right.
I'll tell you what. After the show, we'll come up with a session this weekend. The Bears aren't playing anymore, so I got nothing to do on Sundays.
Does the word doink mean anything to you?
Yeah. So yeah, no, we'll let's get a session going.
Okay. All right. We can stream it. So
yeah.
There was one other item that you wanted to talk about too, Mike. Did you want to bring that up about Monster Boy?
Yes, this is some incredible news. So, FDG Entertainment, the publishers of Monster Boy, announced some pretty amazing news that the sales of the game on the Nintendo Switch were beyond their expectations, and more specifically, in comparison to all the other platforms, the Switch version of the game outsold all the other versions on a scale of 8-1.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's and then you keep hearing about all these developers saying, "Oh yeah, this game is selling so, my sales have been fantastic on the Switch," but I don't think we've ever heard anything as, detailed as this. 8-1, that's incredible. I mean, it's a fantastic game, and anyone who's listening who enjoys awesome animation or 2D platformers, absolutely pick up this game. It is without a doubt worth every penny.
Here,
Um,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's congratulations. Definitely well earned. I just hope that means that it's selling well across the board and that it's not like tanking on the other platforms because, everybody should have an opportunity to play this one.
Yeah. Cool. Any other news from Blue? Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Mike, anything else from you?
I got nothing.
Okay. So let's go into our listener feedback. And last week, our hot topic was that we talked about our gaming resolutions, and we also wanted to hear yours. So here are some of your responses. I'll take the first one here. This is from Chris Access. They tweeted us, or at Chris Access. They tweeted, January is the month I will finish. Wow, they have quite a few games here. MGS3 remastered for 360 and on Xbox One. Final Fantasy II remastered on a PSP, Cuphead on Xbox One, Alien Storm on Genesis on Xbox One, and if time allows, Final Fantasy III.
That's a very ambitious January.
That is, yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I'll be lucky to finish one game in the month of January. So kudos to you, man. I mean, if I would like to see what the rest of your months look like. How many games do you actually plan to complete through the full year? That's or is January just jam packed and then the rest of it's just coasting? I mean, that's kind of what I would do. Just Blue, do you want to take the next one?
Sure. This is from Bitland Comic on Twitter. They tweeted, "My resolution is very simple. Spend way less money on video games, spend way less time on them, reconnect with the real world, and fulfill my destiny instead of someone else's."
Oh. I thought that was really interesting. Fulfill my destiny instead of somebody else's. Like, I thought that was great. That was, like, interesting. Yeah, that was an interesting tweet, for sure.
Yeah, I think, especially when you review games, it can be easy to just get, like, so involved in this little subculture that we have going on, and it's good to step back every once in a while and remember there's a bigger world out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Mike, you want to read the next one?
Sure. We got this on Twitter from @GeekNerdPod. I had this brainwave to maybe play some of the games I buy. That's a crazy idea. Also play Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Origins, and Odyssey, so that I'm ready for the next Assassin's Creed release on day one.
Geek Nerd Pod's just trying to make us look bad.
Yeah, right. I will say Odyssey, like, because they said that they're going to support that game for a while, so yeah, that's cool. I mean, I have Origins and Odyssey and Syndicate. Oh my gosh, I have not beat any of those. Oh, I feel really bad now. But I do like them. I mean, Odyssey's good. Origins I really liked because of the Egyptian feel to it. Oh, Blue, you have that game now.
I do have that game now.
Have you played it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Are you kidding? See, that's the thing is, like, I'm trying not to start any big games right now. Like, I wanted to pull out Odyssey the other day, and I was like, do you really want to start this, like, 2 weeks before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then every week it'll be just Kingdom Hearts 3 updates from you, right?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know how big that game is. We'll see how long it takes me to finish.
Yeah. I would like to hear your thoughts. We'll have to have Christian come back on the show and hear both of your thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the next one here, and then from Gamer Gal EXE, they tweeted in, beat my backlog. It's going to take way longer than a year to do that, but I'll make a start at least. Me too. That's my goal, is to go through my backlog and get maybe like a little sliver off of it, not a dent, but just, maybe a little scratch. So It was funny. When I was streaming today, and Retro Games Brew was on. I was on the watching my stream, and we were chatting back and forth, and we talked about how the game what is that game called now? Jeez, I forgot. Blaster Master is coming out on Nintendo
yeah.
Switch Online. And I said, oh, I love that game. And I said, I bought the remastered when it was on the Wii, and then I bought the remastered when it came out on the 3DS. And I've not played either of them. And now it's the original one. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. My backlog's awful.
Such is the bane of every gamer.
Yeah.
First road problems.
It
Yep.
is. It is. All right. Like I said, we would love to hear from you. You can give us feedback. You can send us a tweet at GamerheadsPC. You can also send us an email, info@gamerheadspodcast.com. You can go on facebook.com/gamerheadspodcast and give us feedback there. You can also go to gamerheadspodcast.com and leave us messages there. You can give us feedback about the show. You can ask us questions that you might have about games or just life in general. Between the three of us, we probably lived over a couple hundred years, so we can...
A couple hundred?
Hey! I don't know how old you are.
I think I'm the oldest, but... Okay, maybe over 100 years, so we have a good experience between the three of us.
Barely.
Well, Blue, I'm pretty old, so...
I'm just kidding. I actually do know how old you are.
I know. So yeah, so all we need to do is take somebody in their 20s or 30s, and we'll be over the 100 years mark. So unless you're both 12, I think we're okay. So
the average went up when Christian stepped away.
That's that is true. No, I got a quick story. The other day I was made a reference to something. Oh, I wish I knew what the reference was, but it was something from when I was a kid, and I turned to Christian and I said, "Do you get that reference?" And he said, "Yep, I do." Even though he's not getting old enough to be his dad, he does at least get the references that I make. So I appreciate that. All right, let's move into our reviews that we have. And so this week we have 3 games that we're reviewing. I'll start us off if you don't mind. The game I'm reviewing, and I'll have it up on our site this week, and we're actually interviewing the devs as well, so stay tuned for that at the end of the show. The game is Hive Jump, and I've been reviewing it on Nintendo Switch, and it's also on Xbox One, and it's also on, I think, PS4 as well, and it came out on Wii U as well, but that was a while back, and it's also on Steam as well. So Hive Jump is a roguelike game, and you are a jumper, and you go into the hive. So basically you have it's a roguelike, like I said, and you go into these levels and you kill these bugs, and at the end of each hive that you're jumping into, there's a boss. And then if you beat the boss, then you complete that mission. And when you complete the hive, you have this overall world map. And then you take that area on the world map, and then you have to defend that area. Otherwise, if the bugs come back and attack it, then they can take that place over and create a hive again. So there's a little bit of map, strategic map, kind of kind of like a base building games. And then the diving into the game, where you're a jumper into the hive, reminds me a lot of Dead Cells in a way, because as you play through this game, you're killing the bugs, you're collecting goo, which is the economy in the game, and then you use the goo to upgrade your weapons and upgrade your bases too. So I am having a lot of fun with this game. This game is so interesting, and it's just you can sit down. It's kind of like Dead Cells for me. You can sit down and just play a quick game and make a quick run. And then as I'm leveling up my weapons, it's becoming easier for me, because I will tell you, the first couple jumps you make, you die. It's awful. It's oh my god, this is so frustrating. And my bases were being taken over, and I was really frustrated. But now I'm in a good place. Things are moving a lot smoother.
You sound like your emotional status. I'm in a better place now.
Yeah. And every time you die, this is really cool. So each jumper has a name, and I think they started a Kickstarter. So if you were a Kickstart backer on this game, you got to name one of the jumpers, and and each time one dies, you have this little backpack, like this battery backpack, and that's actually your health. If that gets destroyed, so once your character's destroyed or your character you're playing gets destroyed, then the bugs start attacking that backpack, and if that gets down to 0 health, then you die, and then you have to start all over, and you lose that Hive Jump. And then it's the Hive's turn, and they can come attack your bases. So it's after you beat a boss, though, it shows you, or if you lose a level too, it shows you all the jumpers that died during that last mission, and it has all of them listed,
like an in memoriam type thing.
Exactly. It says like fallen jumpers. So it's super easy to play. The Switch just seems like a really good system for it. It took me just a few seconds to pick up on like, oh, this is what I have to do here. I'm not necessarily good at platformers or run and gun games, but this game I'm absolutely loving, and I feel like I'm not the best, but I feel like I understand the mechanics, and it is just intuitive enough for me to pick up, so I love it.
It sounds I was watching you stream it yesterday.
Yeah.
It looked very it kind of reminded me of a oh man, help me out here. Who are the developers behind Shantae? Way Forward.
Yeah,
Thank
Way
you.
Forward. Yep.
Yeah, so it kind of looks like a Way Forward game almost. Kind of like because they did that Aliens for the DS, which was a really tough game. But it just, and they're pretty well known for making good platformers. It was chaotic. There was a lot. I saw you fighting that giant spider boss.
Yes.
You're just like, all right, I got him, and then but like he still had a sliver, and you're like, oh wait a minute, I don't got him.
Yes.
Like, running around. So yeah, it looks really chaotic, but
Yeah.
it definitely looks like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is really chaotic, and there'll be times where you're in the hive. So like each hive is procedurally generated levels, and then each as you go through the game, the hives get harder and harder, so they get deeper and deeper. So like the hives I'm fighting right now are only 3 levels deep, but they do get deeper, and then the boss is at the last level. And between each level, that's where you get to keep all the goo that you earned, and then you can either store it and build up your bases, or you can apply it to your weapons and unlock different weapons, and then unlock upgrades to those weapons. So that's pretty cool. And I will say there's times though when you're in the hive level before you get to the boss, and then it'll just pop up, says there's a hive swarm, and then you're just swarmed by all these bugs, and you're just shooting, and you're just like, oh gosh, this is awful. Like you have to make a stand, you have to strategically place yourself and where you want to make that stand, and just take out the swarm. And that's the other thing I love about this game, is that really it's a resource management game too, because you can decide, you can go through these hives and just go as quickly as you can to the next level and get to the boss, or are you greedy and you try to kill more bugs to get more goo, which obviously can up your chances of dying. So it's really an interesting dynamic in that sense. And right now it's $9.99 on the Switch, and that is a steal for this game, because I absolutely love this game. This is my new Dead Cells game. It's good.
You were pretty excited about it. Like when you beat that boss, you're like, yeah, look at all that goo.
Okay, yeah. So I have major questions about the economy in this game.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're going and you're killing all the bugs and collecting the goo, but then of course the end game of that has to be you've killed all the bugs, and then there's no more goo.
Oh yeah.
It's a social commentary about how we nearly wiped out the mighty buffalo.
Yep. That's really what this is
No, it's not.
Okay.
The show was about to get really deep here for a second. I had to cut it off.
That is an interesting idea, Blue. That just means that the war is over. You don't need to upgrade any more weapons or anything else. And, so you eradicate the enemy, and then you don't have any more goo, but you don't need it anymore because you don't need to upgrade your weapons. So,
yeah.
Life is good.
It's a non-sustainable economy.
It is, yeah.
Unless you're the aggressor. You're jumping from planet to planet to planet, killing and wiping out bugs.
that have why are you doing that, Roger? What did the bugs do to you?
I will say there's elements of Starship Troopers.
I was thinking that
Yep,
the whole
that's what
time.
I was thinking too. Yeah.
Which is also elements of Helldivers. If you ever played that game, there's a lot of like parallels to that as well. Yeah. So you do question if you're the aggressor here, or if the bugs are just defending their home, because it could be. I don't know. Yeah.
You're going into their hives, not the other way around.
Yeah, Blue. I don't think about those things when I eradicate bugs. Okay, they
I
need to
see
be
bug.
eradicated.
I see bug, I shoot bug.
Yep, that's gonna be
That's
a
all I
t-shirt.
need to worry about.
Yep,
Sounds like you've been fully indoctrinated by the Starship Trooper propaganda.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, no, that's. And I think they make fun of that in this game too. I mean, like that's just part of the humor. So the other thing I love about this game is that it was created in the Midwest, a studio in the Midwest from St. Louis. So I'm excited to have them on the show and talk about that, and talk about what they love about developing games in the Midwest, and and how this project came about. And yeah, so I'm excited. And I just say if you're looking for something that's gonna be fun, it's multiplayer too. So local multi co-op on the Switch. So if you're looking for something that can play up to 4 players, this is definitely a game for you. All right. What about Blue? Do you want to go next?
Sure. This week I played Don't Sink, which is a pixel-styled pirate game on the Switch. And it is developed by Studio Eris and published by HitSense. And you can find my review. I was given a code. And you can find my review up on 2Beard Gaming. So that's 2 like the number and beard like the facial hair, and then gaming. But this is like a adventure resource management game where you start out as a rookie pirate, and you've got a small ship. And your goal is to establish a pirate colony on a nearby island that just happens to be completely non-habitated, and no one else has ever been there, but that's cool. You take it. Everybody seems fine with that. And so the gist of the game is you're trying to make money, but it's a little bit weird because you don't really do pirate things to make the money.
You don't drink rum or steal plunder?
Well, I mean, you can attack. You don't really attack other ships. They attack you while you're sailing, and you can either fight them back or you can run away. And then if you happen to defeat them, you'll get a little bit of money and a little bit of supplies. Or every once in a while, you'll come across like a treasure you can plunder or something. But the vast, vast majority of money that you're going to make in the game is by completing just delivery quests. So it's a little bit... That doesn't
sound like a pirate at all.
Yeah, I know. It's a little bit odd. And so the first quest, of course, is to establish your pirate colony. And I did that in about an hour. And then from there on, there's a little over 20 like mini side quests that you can do. Like, I lost my ring at sea. Maybe you can find it, or, stuff like that. And then I completed all of those in a couple more hours. And then, I basically just ran out of stuff to do. There wasn't a whole lot to the game. And the side quests, they all kind of have morals to them. A lot of them do, where they encourage you not to steal money from somebody's open chest, or.
But you're a pirate.
I know, exactly.
Yeah,
and then it's funny because the other thing you're expected to do in the game, there's this world map of this archipelago, and there's all these islands, and you're expected to go take over the islands by force.
What?
Until you are the sole ruler of all of the islands. But you're an honorable pirate who wouldn't steal from people.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, man.
Yeah, overall, it's this game has a lot of issues. Just a lot of issues.
What were you playing it on?
I was playing it on the Switch.
On the Switch? Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe I do remember seeing this game.
Yeah, I saw. It looked interesting. Like the graphics looked very stylish.
Yeah, it's very stylish. It's very colorful. It's all kind of, postmodern 21st century like humor and stuff. It's clever. And the ship names that you fight, they have really clever names like the Soon Dares or like Throwing Shade.
Mm.
But just the actual content of the game, it feels like they put together about a third of a game and then released it and thought it was good.
So is there an end game to this? It doesn't seem like there's an end game to this.
No, I don't think so, because I set up my pirate colony, and I was like, okay, they'll probably give me a new main quest now, and they didn't. And so I was waiting for the game to say something like, congratulations, you've won, or, you got 100% completion or something.
Yeah.
But it never did. I just kept going, and because the primary way you make money is by doing delivery quests, like those just keep regenerating. They just never stop. So you always like have, quote unquote quests to complete, but like that's the only thing.
That's weird.
And I said earlier that you get attacked by ships when you're sailing between islands. Like eventually the ship names started repeating. I was like, no, I've killed your ship 4 times already. Shut up, Heather. That's the name of the ship. I've sunk you 4 times.
This is Heather 5.
This is Shut Up, Heather 5. So, when that started happening, I was like, I must just have gone through all of the content, and it was under 4 hours by the time that was happening. So,
How much is it? Do you know what the?
$9.99, I believe.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, if you're asking my brutally honest opinion, I wouldn't pay more than like $2. Sorry, HitSense, I just wouldn't.
Yeah. How was the music in the game? Was there any that?
I mean, it was fine. It didn't really stand out to me as being exceptionally bad or exceptionally good.
So do you play a character? I mean, do you create a character, or you play a character with a story background?
Nope. You start the game. Oh, and here's the other thing is that it would not allow any screenshots in the whole game.
What?
Yeah.
How's that? How's that even work? How can you not take screenshots?
I don't know. Like every time, I think I tried like every 5 minutes during the whole 5 hours I was playing just to see if I could get one, and it always had that little notice that popped up in the top left screen that says screenshots are blocked in this area or whatever it says.
What? That's weird.
I know. Why on earth would you prohibit something like that?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, especially because I think this came out on Steam before it was ported to the Switch. Everybody already knows what it looks like. There's plenty of images out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, you start the game and you can create your own little pirate pixel character from a variety of different options. You can choose your hats and your gender and your skin color and whether you want a peg leg or not, that kind of stuff. But there's not really a backstory or a story at all.
Well, that's too bad. I mean, it sounds like a cool concept. It just sounds like they kind of didn't complete it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I think this could have been so much more than what it was. But it just feels like literally like 1/3 of the game.
Huh. Well, yeah, it's too bad. All right, thanks, Blue. Mike, do you want to review...
Not anymore.
No. You want to review Overdriven Reloaded Special Edition?
Yes, so I have a Overdriven Reloaded Special Edition. It's out on the Switch, just came out this week. Now, the game is an arcade shoot 'em up, or as commonly referred to as a shmup. And it is similar. It's a vertical scroller. So a lot of these space shooting games like R-Type or Darius games, they're side scrolling. You're on the left and all the enemies come at you. But this one is you're on the bottom, kind of like Galaga, I guess you could say, if we want to go really old school with it. But in this game, I mean, it's essentially your basic arcade shoot 'em up. You get to choose between 2 different spaceships, and you go through each level, blasting the enemy ships and also enemy bugs, fighting giant bosses, and trying to rack up your points as much as possible. That's at its core, basically. That's what the game is. But it's got some really interesting aspects to it. The first thing that I really appreciate is that your ship has a life bar. I've played games like Ikaruga, you know, Chaos Field. A lot of these really hardcore shoot 'em ups where they are very unforgiving. It's like, okay, you get just get one hit, 3 lives to get through the entire game, and then game over. It's like this game is, if anything, I would call it bullet hell for beginners.
That's
Sounds like
actually
my
really
game.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I cannot play shmups.
Yeah, I have
I
a trouble
suck
with
at
them
them
too.
so bad.
Me
Yeah.
too.
No, it's yeah, and this one it's definitely got kind of like a I don't know, like a pool type uh, situation where you can start off in the shallow end, but then you can tinker with the difficulty and make it a lot more difficult. So by the time you play like in manic mode, which is a separate mode, like then you're playing at like these hardcore shoot 'em up games.
Mm,
But then you can also play if you just want to have a fun time with an arcade game. You could enjoy it on just normal difficulty. So it's got a really good sliding scale. So if you're a casual shoot 'em up player, this game is a really good choice. One of the other cool things about this game is that you could change your ship's color, and when you change your ship's color, the color of your blast or of your laser bullets, whatever, change to that color. And there's certain parts in the game where access is blocked by these gems, and you have to shoot the gems so that they all match the same color.
oh,
And then once
interesting.
they all match the same color, they disappear. And in the review, I said it was I said it was what Ikaruga meets Dr. Mario.
Ah, neat. That's awesome. That sounds
Yeah.
cool.
And that's a lot of fun because you could, there's like hidden areas. Sometimes there's secret areas you could only get to if you like are really fast and blast those gems to make them disappear, and then you can get the alien artifact, or there's secret space cows in the game that you can collect. Yes, I said that correctly. Space cows, moo, those types of things. So and then the other cool thing is there's it's you could do up to 4 players local multiplayer,
Nice.
and the game doesn't slow down at all. It still maintains that the craziness that goes on with these bullet hell type games, and it's just that much more fun with somebody by your side playing the game.
Nice.
The one of the things I pointed out in the review, the hitbox are is so perfectly on point. There's It gets so annoying when you're playing a game and like a bullet flies just next to your ship, but it still registers as a hit.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you didn't hit me. What are you talking about? And I just get really aggravated about that. But this one, I have missed. I have maneuvered around enemy fire with just by the skin of my teeth, just barely missing these things. And I noticed that I'm like, well, that's really good. I really liked that attention to ensuring that that the ship is the hitbox on the ship is perfectly situated. The bosses are cool. They're huge. They're creative. There's one boss there where you fight the boss and then it like goes and hides, and then you have to race like to catch up to it.
Hmm.
And while you're racing to catch up to it, there's these like this debris that's coming at you. So it's like you're fighting the boss and then you have to dodge a bunch of debris and then you're fighting him again. So it does offer a really good change of pace to just your typical boss battles. One of the other cool things about it is you have your regular bullets, but then you also have this like superpowered laser, and the superpowered laser is really powerful. So it's good for getting through just like swarms of enemies. But
Wow.
the problem is when you use it, it brings all your health almost all the way down to the very end, or to the very beginning, I guess you could say. So if you get hit by like 2 enemy bullets, you're dead. Like
Hmm.
your ship blows up.
Mm.
Whereas, if you don't use it and you're being more conservative, then you can take more hits before dying. So that's a cool little like resource management. Do I want to take this risk? Do I want to do I want to use this to get through here, or do I just want to just take the hits and play it safe? And there's also a couple bosses. The only way you can hurt them is by using that laser.
Interesting. You know, when you said that, it reminds me a lot of like the old arcade games where if you use a special move, like I think of Nintendo or the Turtles arcade game, if you use their special move, it would take some of your health away.
Yep.
And our interview is going to air at the end of this segment with Tom, the creator of Overdriven Reloaded. But he mentions how he was very influenced by arcade games, so that's interesting to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and X-Men, the arcade game too. That was another one.
Yep.
Because I just would go in there and spam Colossus's power move. That was most. I'm getting off on a tangent. Sorry. So anyway, it's a very fun game. It's seriously, it's for the price. It's only $7.99. The problem with the eShop is there's just so many games that release every week that it's easy to overlook a game like this. Mm-hmm. But take a look at it. Give it a look. For $7.99, the actual campaign takes probably about an hour to an hour and a half to beat. So that doesn't seem like a lot. But once you get through that, there's so many other modes. There's like mini games. There's line mode where there's like a checkered flag behind your ship. And if any enemies get past you and touch that checkered flag, then you lose, and it just gives you your score. There's a mode where you have to match the gems. So it's like you're just shooting the gems to make it to the end of the level. So you're frantically going around making sure that you're blasting the correct color at the gems. There's time challenges. There's boss rush mode. So there's a lot of extra content in this game besides just the regular the arcade mode.
That's awesome. So that came out this week. I should also say that Hive Jump also came out this week as well. So two games that I think and did Don't Sink also come out this week, Blue? Do you know?
It came out last weekend, I believe, but
okay.
Don't bother.
But I mean the other two, like I said, that both of these prices. I mean, man, you can get two games for less than you would buy, a big, bigger studio like a AAA studio game. So I just think that's awesome, and that's that. I do agree. Like that, we kind of talked about this at one point too. Where I think that it's awesome that the Switch is getting all these cool indie games coming, but you're right, there's so many games coming out each week that it's hard to distinguish yourself from the other games. So
right.
So I'm glad that they gave us an opportunity to review these games, and we had the opportunity to talk about them and review them, and that you could hear what our thoughts are on the games too. So
this is Overdriven Reloaded. The name of the developer is the One Man Army. Actually, wanted to mention that the name, the One Man Army, came from Tom used to work at Ubisoft, and when he went to start his own developer to work for himself, he went to a trade show, and they asked what his name was, what the name of his company was, and he was thinking of what his name should be, and he said that he worked on the Wii U game Zombie U. And he did the prototyping for it by himself. So some of his coworkers started calling him the One Man Army. Yeah. So that's where he came up with the name for that. He's like, I'm the One Man Army.
Well, it was funny. He said that as he was signing up at the trade show, some of his friends from Ubisoft walked by and said, "Hey, there he is, the One Man Army." and then he's like, "Okay, that's my name. That's the studio's name."
Yep.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. So, stay tuned for that full interview. So, the other thing that Tom was so gracious about was that he gave us not just one code for review, but he gave us another code to give out to people.
Woo!
Yeah.
So
giveaways.
We have a giveaway. So this is our opportunity. If you want a code for Overdriven Reloaded, it's the North American code. Like Blue said, though, that Switches are not region locked, so even if you're not in North America, you could still get this game. And the way that you can get this game, the secret password, we have a password. So direct message us the password alien. So you can go on Twitter, and I have my DMs open, and you just send me a message. The first person that sends me a message gets the code. So yeah, so
At
excited about that.
Gamerheads PC.
Thank you. Yeah, Gamerheads PC. I meant to say that, and I just I just kept going. So yeah, so message us alien, and you will have the opportunity to play this game.
And when is the cutoff?
The cutoff for the code, you mean?
Yes, when is the cutoff for the contest, and when are we drawing the winner?
Maybe. So are you saying maybe we don't first come first serve? Should we just do a drawing out of the hat? Should we do that instead? I was thinking first come first serves, but I like the idea of everybody can get a chance, and then we just pick the name. Should we pick the name?
Yeah, I like that idea. Let's give everyone a chance, and then we could draw a name out.
Okay, let's do that. So scratch what I just said.
Not really.
Up to the point where it said the first come first serve. So the rest of it still stays the same, except that let's give it a week. So by next week's Sunday, so a week from when this show airs, and so that would be what, the 20th? The 20th? Am my math right? I think so.
Yep.
By the time let's do Saturday night, so that way we're prepped for it. So Saturday night, the 19th. Let's do midnight Central Standard Time. Send us a message, and then on the show on Sunday, we will pick a name from the names that were submitted, and we will announce the winner on our show.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right, before we go into our interviews and go into the break into interviews, let's go through games that we're currently playing. So, Blue, do you want to start us off? What games are you playing besides Don't Sink?
I didn't play many this week because I was in the midst of Dental Saga 2K19.
Oh yeah.
I know, but that's okay. It's fixed now. I feel so much better.
That's good.
Did they get to the root of the problem?
Oh man, man, you should join those pun wars, Mike.
I did once, and she destroyed me.
Oh.
So
he's never come back. He
I've
ran
never
away
come
with
back.
his tail between his legs. But definitely, if I had $1 for every dental pun that I've heard this week, I would be quite rich. But so anyway, I played Don't Sink, and then I also played the Resident Evil 2 demo.
Oh, you did?
I did.
And?
I had an interesting experience. So, like, right when you first get there, like, the demo takes place in the police station. And you first get there, and one of the first things you find is, like, this chest. And there's some bullets in it, I think, that you can pick up. What I didn't realize that I actually did was I put my gun in there and walked away.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, that's not good.
No, that's not good. So then I'm following the demo out and run into my first zombies. And it's like, okay, press, this to aim and this to fire. And I'm like, it's not working. It's not working. I don't have a gun. And so then, of course, once the first zombie comes, they don't stop. So I'm just running through my life in these dark hallways. And Leon in the demo, he kind of runs like he's a 50-year-old man.
It's the Resident Evil 4 run. Yep.
So I was just like, come on. If those things were behind me, I would be like sprinting. So yeah, but I got eaten alive basically until I could make it back to that first starting area. And I happened to I still didn't realize what had happened to my gun. And then I opened the chest just to see, because I was just kind of lost about what I was supposed to do. And I was like, oh my God, there it is. There's my gun.
Oh man, you were like Indiana Jones in Temple of Doom, where he reaches for his gun when the swordsman come, and you're like, where's my gun? Where's my gun?
Kind of. And then, of course, then my time was up because you only get 30 minutes with the demo. And I was like, that kind of sucked.
Yeah, that's not really worth the 30 minutes right there. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's funny, though. That's okay. So note to self, don't put guns in chests.
Yeah, when you get the bullets out of the chest, make sure you don't put your gun instead.
Yeah.
Wait, so did you grab the bullets and leave the gun there? Did you at least have the bullets on you?
I had what am I supposed to do?
Just
Throw them at the zombies?
Yeah.
No, I don't, but I just think that's the funny part is that you had the bullets.
I had the bullets. I didn't have the gun.
Oh, that's funny. Anything else, Blue?
Nope, that's it.
Mike, what about yourself?
So aside from Overdriven, I played some Battle Princess Madeline.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be working on a review for that. So I've been playing that, and it's enjoyable. There are a few issues that I've had with it, but I'll talk more about that in the interview. But overall, it's a tight platformer, so I'm enjoying my time with that. It's definitely has that ghouls and ghosts feeling. The music sounds like an actual Sega Genesis game,
Oh, nice.
so that's cool. So yeah, so I'm enjoying that. Also playing some more Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm sticking, kind of steering clear of the online mode, and I'm just trying to blaze through the story as much as possible. Just it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, I'm already committed. Now I'm just gonna just kind of work my way through the end, you know.
Yeah.
So I think I just started chapter 3, and um, know I still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
And then other than that, let's see, what else did I play? I played some more Pokemon. Let's Go Pikachu.
Nice.
So
How far are
working
you
my
now? How far are you now?
I just got the where did I just caught that Snorlax that was sleeping in the road.
Okay. Yeah, you're farther than me now. You
Okay.
passed me now. I'm not that far behind you because I'm at that point, but yeah,
Mhm.
I'm right behind that now.
Okay. So yeah, so that's where I am with that. And then I also played the Resident Evil 2 demo.
Oh, did you leave your gun in the chest too?
Yeah, no, I had my gun with me. Um, it was, you know what, I it was definitely good. I still want to find out what's going on with the microtransactions for it, but it felt like Resident Evil 4,
Yes.
but a lot scarier.
It,
Uh,
yeah, it's so dark.
it
Even
is.
when you have the flashlight, you're like, I can't freaking see anything.
Yeah, and it's different, like, you know, because I'm so used to going to open the doors and seeing that animation where the door opens. But you're opening the doors in real time, and I opened one door and a zombie just jumped right through it, and it
Oh
scared the
gosh.
living hell out of me.
Oh gosh.
And and
You
there
should
was,
play it, Roger.
yeah, Roger, you
Yeah,
can
that
stream
doesn't
it.
sound like this does not sound like a game I'd play for sure.
And I will say this too, the game is really, really gory.
Oh yeah. I don't know if they were just trying to show off for the demo or what, but it was like, yeah, it was definitely they did not skimp on the blood.
Yeah, surprising attention to detail. It was.
Yeah, definitely some of the things that happen. I wonder about the physics of, can bodies do that?
Yeah, and there were there were some definitely some really really intense moments. Did you make it to the part where you're in the library?
I didn't have a gun. Are you
Oh,
kidding?
I was just gonna say, I think she ran back. There's
yeah.
30 minutes we're running away from the
Yep.
zombies.
I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. I solved the first puzzle, and I got my gun back, solved the first puzzle, and that's about as far as I got it.
Okay, so I made it to the library, and I'm up on top. Like, so the library has two stories, and I'm on top, and there's like 6 zombies all like following me, like looking up and following me, and I'm like, haha, you suck. I'm smarter than you. And as I'm walking around, I fall through the floor, like the floor gives way, and I just land. And I yelled out a few words that I'd rather not repeat. Uh,
So
but
don't stream it, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Actually, I want to see that stream. I want to. Nice.
So yeah, so I enjoyed that. I'm definitely gonna pick it up. I just don't know if I'm gonna pick it up at release.
Yeah.
Yeah, the demo, it doesn't give me any indication of what the microtransactions might consist of.
Hmm. But it's
Yeah.
still fun, so and it's free. So
Yeah, free.
I would recommend that to anybody.
Nice. Anything else, Mike?
Nope, that was it.
So besides Hive Jump, which actually I've been playing quite a bit of, I have been playing Smash, Super Smash Brothers. And I was very proud of myself because last weekend there was an event which was the they had like these classic characters that they added for spirits. I should say that for spirits, and I got out of the 3 legendaries, I got 2 of them.
Wow.
And I know, I was proud because I'm not good at that game. And I was able to get 2 legendaries, and like you would think I would have won the lottery or something because I was just like, oh my gosh, I got them.
Which 2 did you get?
I got the Donkey Kong one and the Legend of Zelda one.
Oh.
Yeah. So the Donkey Kong one I was really proud of because it took me like 3 seconds to get it, and I was like, oh, I got it. And then our friend Steve, who eats lunch with us, he was playing it too, and he struggled with it for a while, and I actually gave him tips of how to get, and he got it. I gave him like, oh, you have to do this, and he got it, and I was like, oh, like that's a first. Well, I actually tell somebody like how to do something and it actually works. I mean, from game wise, I mean, other, obviously other things, but anyway, I was really proud of myself. So yeah, so I've been playing that and Hive Jump, and then there's a game that I don't think I can talk about right now. We just got a review code. Yeah, I know, I know, being another mystery and such, but we got another review code, and I played a little bit of it. I didn't get to play too much of it yet, so but I'm excited when we can talk about that to talk more about it. So all right, well then, before we take a break and go to our interviews, because then our show will end after the interviews, why don't we go around and tell people how they can get a hold of us? Mike, you want to start us off? How can people get a hold of you?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at TCThrowers. You can also find the Controller Throwers podcast right here on GamerheadsPodcast.com and GamerheadsPodcast.podbean.com. Also, you can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and check us out at twitch.tv/TCThrowers.
All right, and Blue, how can people get hold of you?
You can almost always find me on Twitter. My handle is @WritersView, and it's spelled with a Y, so WRY. And then I also have a website, which is writersview.com.
Nice. And you can reach Gamerheads. You can go to our Twitter. You can reach us there at Gamerheads PC. You can go online to our website at GamerheadsPodcast.com. You can go to Facebook, and it's Facebook.com/GamerheadsPodcast. And you can also send us an email at info@GamerheadsPodcast.com. I'm going to say my thing.
Don't forget to send us the secret word.
That's right. Don't forget to send us a secret word of, well, do we say it again?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. Or we have to rewind it. No, it's alien. So send us a secret word for your chance to be entered in. Well, to be entered in for a chance to win the code for Overdriven Reloaded. So I'm going to say my thank yous right now, but do stay tuned for the rest of the show. But Mike, I wanted to thank you for joining us this week again.
Always a pleasure.
And Blue, thank you so much for joining us again.
You are welcome.
And listeners, thank you so much for giving us your time and listening to us talk about video games. We really appreciate it. And stay tuned for some really awesome interviews. I think you'll enjoy what's coming up here. And welcome back to Gamerheads. This week we are joined by Tom from the One Man Army, creator of Overdriven Reloaded. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, thank you.
Tell us about yourself, Tom.
I'm Thomas Casamento. I'm the game developer behind Toma Game Studio, as known as the One Man Army Game Studio. We made Overdriven Reloaded, Jimmy vs. Zombies, and Aquaculture. The last one is a little game for smartphone.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
Previously, I worked for Ubisoft on some games like Just Dance 2, Michael Jackson The Experience, Tintin and the Unicorn Secret, Killer Freaks. This game will never release, but it was shown on the E-Cube in 2011, if I well remember.
Yeah.
And finally, I worked on the Zombie Youth.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're from France.
From France, yes. Sorry, yes. In the south of France, near a little city called Nîmes.
Oh, nice.
Nîmes.
Nice.
Where the gin comes from a century ago.
Oh, really?
The denim. Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Yes.
So Mike, why don't you go ahead with the next question here?
Sure. So, thanks. First of all, thank you so much for joining us, and we want to talk a little bit about Overdriven Reloaded, which is a space shoot 'em up um, style game, reminiscence of a lot of retro games, and so, like going back to Space Invaders, things like Darius Twin. So I have to ask, what were some of your inspirations for Overdriven Reloaded? What kind of made you think, okay, this is the kind of game I want to make?
Um, I was a super nice teenager, so yes, I think I was mainly inspired by shoot 'em up like R-Type, Battle
Oh,
Squadron,
Mm.
Darius Gaiden. I played this on PC. Super Alest and Axelay. I'm sorry for the accent. I think you yes.
yep, yeah,
And
I know
Yep.
a lot of
Oh, yeah,
those.
we know those games.
also, I like more recent game like Dodonpachi and old Caves production in general, and Treasures game like Ikaruga.
Oh yeah, that's a great game.
Yes, yes, and also games on the Amiga.
Yes.
The Amiga 500. I had this computer when I was a kid, and I play Z out, X out, Battle
Mhm.
Squadron. Yes, quite
Nice.
same as Super NES, but on an Amiga.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
You mentioned Darius Gaiden. There is
Yes.
a Darius collection, and I do not import games a lot, but there is a Darius collection coming out in Japan that I really want to pick up for the Switch. There's just a collection of all the old Darius games. So yeah, I love those too.
It's a great series, and yes, my favorite one is perhaps Darius Gaiden because it's the first I played from this series. But yes, on the PSP, on the PS3, yeah, there are many Darius and Gradius
Hmm. Oh yeah,
that are really good game.
yeah. So
Nice.
good. So that's great to hear that all these classic games kind of got you into Overdriven Reloaded. That's really nice.
So Tom, are you looking to continue this franchise then, or are you like your next project? You're looking at something different.
I would say both, because I'm currently working on the Metroid Slugvania. I don't
Oh.
Oh,
know if the word exists, but it's a kind of Metal Slug mixed with Castlevania or Metroid. So it's a
Ooh.
Metroid Slugvania in
oh,
Nice.
pixel art. Um, in fact, I started alone the Toma Game Studio adventure, but we are two now. I
Oh.
worked with my spouse, my wife,
Oh
hmm,
yeah.
and she is pixel artist, and
Oh.
I code and I compose the music, and we are working on a new game. I don't know for the moment for which system, but maybe I will have more information soon. But yes, it will be a Metroid Slugvania in pixel art, and
Nice.
I already planned a sequel for Overdriven later this year.
all right.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
You sound very
Wow.
busy.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
That's great. I love Metal Slug. So that's exciting to me because uh, I was a big fan of Contra when I was a child, and there wasn't a whole lot of experiences that were similar to Contra until I started playing Metal Slug in the arcade. So that's very exciting to hear.
Yeah, I think, in fact, just a few years ago, I play Hard Corps Uprising on my PS3 and my Xbox. I don't know if you remember this game. It was made by Art System Works.
Okay.
I don't think I've played this
In
game.
fact, it was a kind of sequel of Contra.
Oh.
It was published by Konami, and it gave me the envy to create a run and gun, and so we started to create a prototype at this moment, and this year we may release our game, and so it will not be completely a run and gun, but it will mix Metroidvania and Metal Slug system.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
That's going to be very cool.
Yeah,
I hope. I will do my best to make it cool, but only players can tell if it's cool or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exciting that you're working with your wife on that project. That's neat.
Yeah, that is cool. So with Overdriven Reloaded, so I've played that game a lot, and it's a very enjoyable game. But with shoot 'em ups, there is so much action on the screen at one time, and your eyes, like I don't think that I blinked for like 45 minutes straight, if that's even possible. But there's so much action that goes on. So when programming that, how do you determine enemy ship placement, bullet physics or bullet placement, so that it's a challenge, but you can still avoid them at just the last second?
I may disappoint you a bit with my answer, but in fact, I have when I had an idea with a pattern for bullets, I code it, then I try it, and only if it's cool and I manage to place my ship in order to dodge the bullets, I consider it's okay. But I don't really focus on the technique, and I really focus on the fun. I try to make something cool with the patterns of the bullets, and if it's okay to play it, it's okay to put it in the game.
Nice.
That's good. A lot of trial and error, then a lot of testing
Yeah.
and making sure.
Yes.
Wow.
I think when I released the first version on Steam, I was about 400 hours of tests.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Wow. And that's just you. That was just you.
Just me. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a lot of testing.
Yeah. Yes. You have to be really patient. I don't. Yes, the word is the same in French and in English.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mhm.
You have to wait. Okay. You have to be very patient to make your best to make it cool.
Yeah. Tom, was there anything that you left out of the game that you wish you could have added?
You mean something I would like to have put in the game, but it's not in the game?
Yeah.
Probably a really cool story, because the game didn't have a true story. I wanted to put many characters and a story between them, and a kind of epic story, an immersive story. But finally, it was too many work to do this, and I thought that certainly it doesn't matter in an arcade game.
Mhm.
So that the story was something I would like to have put in the game, but that's something I didn't put in the game, and I really like good story in general.
Nice.
That's interesting because that's when the review of the game that we did for Overdriven Reloaded, we said that there wasn't an epic major story to it, but it's an arcade game, so those games don't really necessarily need something deep and engaging storyline. But that's very interesting to hear.
Yes, it was what I tried to remember when I was a kid, and I played in the arcade room. Yes, the same word. Okay.
Yep.
And I really don't. I didn't care about any story when I play R-Type, Street Fighter, any game I played in the arcade room. I wasn't able to tell a story about one of these games.
Yeah.
The only thing that was really cool for me was the gameplay. And when I started to create Overdriven, I thought that I had to focus on the gameplay and just let the story for after if it's okay to place it, or it's if it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No story.
No, that makes sense. Those types of games, you just jump right into the action.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
So when moving the game from Steam to the Switch, so a lot of developers are saying that porting their games to the Switch is a pretty smooth process. So how was your experience with moving the game over to Nintendo's system?
For me, it was a surprisingly good experience because it was quite easier than expected. I didn't use a game engine like Unity or Unreal, like most of indies today. I use an older framework, which was which continued to live. In fact, I started with XNA, and now there is monogame and FNA. And I use FNA framework to code my game for the Nintendo Switch, and the people behind FNA, monogame, and SDR made a great job, and so it was quite easy to port the game with this framework.
Nice.
So yes, it was a good experience. It wasn't something. There wasn't so many obstacles. Yes, no. It was yes, smooth.
Very
nice.
smooth. Well,
nice.
That's good.
Nice.
Well, we hope to see more. Your next games, your Metroid, your Metal Slugvania.
Yes.
And your next Overdriven, we would love to see that on those systems. So that's really good to hear.
Yes, I will keep in touch with you. about my next project.
Absolutely. Awesome. And we would love the opportunity to review your next project. So
yes, I hope I will improve my English for the next time.
Yeah, you're good, Tom. Tom, I wanted to thank you for joining us and talking with us about Overdriven Reloaded, and we really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and you could find Overdriven Reloaded on the Nintendo eShop right now for $7.99. It's a fantastic game. You can also check out our review at GamerheadsPodcast.com.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
This week we have Matt from Graphite Labs, the creators of Hive Jump, and we want to welcome him to the show. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So we have a couple questions here for you, and my first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself and Graphite Labs.
Sure. So I got my start in the game development biz back in 2004, right out of school. We started our company pretty much from scratch. We like to refer to it kind of as a garage band, where we literally started in a garage. Instead of making sweet tunes, we were trying to make sweet video games.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was tough to get started, but we got lucky doing some contract work. So most of my career was built around doing games for other people. We kind of started out doing GBA games, and then we got into the DS, and then into the Wii, and what started is, maybe this will last for a couple of years, making video games turned into now my 15th year
Wow.
in making games. So yeah, it's been a little crazy. So Graphite Lab is our St. Louis studio. So we've been in St. Louis, Missouri since 2009, and been having fun making games there ever since.
Nice. And I'm assuming you're not in a garage anymore.
No, yeah. It's there's something quaint about the garage, right?
Yeah.
The fun startup-y feel, but no, we pay taxes now. We have lots of employees and health insurance and all other kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. So your newest release is Hive Jump. It's available now. So can you kind of tell us the inspiration behind Hive Jump's story and as well as the mechanics?
Yeah, for sure. So because we had done so much contract work, because our studio was largely staying active by doing games for other people, for companies like Hasbro or Nickelodeon or Disney, Hive Jump started as a way for us to make a game for ourselves, something that was new and original and kind of took us beyond just following directions, following specs or, brand guidelines. We wanted to make something of our own. So that interest had been around for a little while. This would have been, I guess, in the year 2013. So it's been a long time since Hive Jump first was discussed. And what happened was one of our programmers had been tinkering around with a procedurally generated level system. And he'd been playing around with it for a while, and he just brought it up one day, just like, hey guys, look what I'm tinkering with. And we all got kind of excited because several members of our team were fans of games like Spelunky and other games that had random level generation aspects. So it really was very serendipitous. It just said, hey, we got this tool. Let's kind of tinker with it some more. And, once we're done with kind of the day job of making games for others, let's see what we can do with this tool. And it just started organically evolving. And instead of it just being a gray box, level gen, it became, well, let's make this look kind of like, an alien hive. That could be really cool. And we started building it from there. So it was very organic. It wasn't like we had this huge plan from the start. This was, let's tinker, and this is pretty cool. Let's keep going.
Nice. So
That's cool.
Was it then? Did the story come after then? Did you start developing like the mechanics and then like the design, and then said, hey, now let's create the story behind it? How did that process go about?
Yeah, mechanics first, and that's kind of a company philosophy, is starting with core mechanics first. So the idea of putting these little jumpers, we call them jumpers now, but they were just soldiers at the time, putting them into these randomly generated levels, spawning a few bad guys to shoot at, started first. And hey, this is kind of fun. We started to theme it and evolve it, and the story of the HSA versus these Ordovician aliens and the jumpers and all the characters, those things came much after some of our early prototypes, as we started to kind of evolve the lore that drove the mechanics.
Nice. And this kind of ties into my next question here. So you mentioned before that the levels are procedurally generated. What made you go that route? I mean, I know that those are like things that you're playing with, but
Sure.
Did you think about, maybe thinking about creating, specifically design levels versus the procedurally generated levels?
Yeah, it's a great question. The random nature of the levels we felt was attractive at the beginning because you're going to deploy to these alien planets. And we thought within the fiction of the world, well, maybe you won't hit the same part of the planet every time. So it makes sense for the levels to be different every time you jump a planet. So, the lore and the theme all made sense. But Beyond that, we said, well, we looked at our references and we looked at games like Spelunky, which have randomly stitched levels, but they're not like completely, random. They're built from pre-designed modules. So we said, oh, let's do it that way. So when you play Hive Jump, what you're essentially seeing is hand-stitched, hand-created modules that are about the size of a screen and a half. And those then get put together, almost like Lego blocks. So if you think about us designing the blocks themselves and then they can be randomly attached to each other, that's kind of how our system works. And we were inspired by Spelunky to do it that way. But even beyond that, we said, well, let's go further. And so the relic rooms that you find that are randomly linked within the hives, where you can go in and do these hard challenges, those are completely created by hand. The entire module there is all hand designed. So we really have this like kind of balance between procedurally generated items and some that are just classically designed through our team.
Nice.
That's interesting. I was a big fan, and still am a big fan of Spelunky. That game was just so like brutal, but you just keep coming back to it. And
yeah,
one of the things, actually, it's very interesting that you said that, because one of the things that I was wondering when I was playing the game was like, sometimes you have to kind of do like a leap of faith, and but there's nothing really like unfair about the level design. It's like, oh, I can't jump down here because there's a row of spikes because it's procedurally generated. So it's really interesting to hear that that kind of thought was put into the game, so that the level is still random, but at the same time there is some structure behind it.
Yeah, you've got it.
Nice. And one other thing I just wanted to mention with that too is that this game is rogue-like in the aspect where you're collecting this goo, and if you die, you lose all this goo that you collected, right? So it reminds me a little bit of Dead Cells in a way. But one thing that I really loved about this game is that I'm not a huge fan of roguelikes, but when they're done well, I love them. And I feel like this one was done really well. This balance of the risk and reward, where, you have this feeling, should I keep going through the hive and eradicate as many bugs as possible and collecting as much goo? Or should I just cut my losses and just get to the next level? Because
right, yeah.
But it was great.
Yeah, well, thanks. Even members of the team, when we play it, we find ourselves cutting our losses frequently. It's time to go. Let's get to the exit. These guys are pissed. Let's keep moving. Yeah, you kind of have to. And we, like you, there's some of these roguelites that fit and feel really good. I actually love Dead Cells and played it quite a bit. So some of them that really nail it. Where we wanted to add something new to this subcategory, this genre, was in the backpack mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to make a game that we could play with all of our members of our team. So multiplayer was something that was really important to us. And we felt like, well, there should be something that ties all of us together. And if it's mission driven, like, oh, get this payload down to the bottom of the hive, then the payload is really your, it's like the king on a chessboard. All the other pieces are powerful, but if the king is lost, then all is gone, all is lost. So the backpack kind of gives us that unique twist on roguelike games, and that as long as that stays alive, you have as many jumpers as you need. So it created some really fun gameplay, especially when you have more than one player in there.
Yeah, and that I also like that aspect as well, because I felt that made it more fair as well, because man, you go through so many jumpers, but
right, yeah.
When you see the list of all the jumpers that you die, you kind of feel bad, but you're like, but man, I made it through that level. That's all that mattered.
Right? It's kind of fun to see all the ones. Sometimes you get to the end and you're like, oh, I did pretty good. And then you look at all the people that died and you're like, oh man, sorry, Sergeant, whatever your name is.
It's actually sparked some philosophical discussions while Roger was streaming Hive Jump. Just so are we the aggressors here, or are we being in defenses? So it was like very deep conversations, just talking about this game.
Lots of deep thoughts from a little pixel shooter, for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
So on your site, one of your mottos states, "We thrive on challenging projects that produce bigger rewards." So what were some of the challenges that you had when working on Hive Jump, and what were some of the rewards that came out of the project?
Oh, for sure. Well, to make a game on our own was probably the biggest challenge. When you're working with a partner, there's some things like deadlines and budgets and other things that, while a little bit irritating at times, just kind of keep you moving. Well, with Hive Jump, it was ours, so we didn't have, super hard deadlines. If we wanted to tweak something, we could just keep tweaking it. And so that was, I think, one of the biggest challenges, was just kind of being our own client and forcing ourselves to make some tough decisions to try and not pump everything into the game that maybe we wanted to. That was really tough. And we got better at it maybe in like the third year that we were working on the game. I think we went from about 2014 to 17 in terms of our core development. And then had to even take some time off before we came back to hit the Switch and Xbox versions. So, that was probably the biggest challenge. But certainly we learned a lot about ourselves and a lot about the team dynamic, and some of the rewards are certainly just the fulfillment of seeing fans enjoy the game. Something that we've made, something we've brought to the industry is really fulfilling.
Nice. Kind of tied with that then. I mean, you kind of answered this, but what are some other things that you may have learned about yourselves or learned about, your creative team while creating Hive Jump?
Sure. Well, we found out that some of our team is really just enjoys the creativity of doing new products, and some of our team really enjoys the certainty of doing products with other teams or with clients. So that was something I didn't quite expect. So it did kind of uncover some strengths of each member of our team as we went through this, and it's helped us grow. So now here we are with Hive Jump on Switch and Xbox, and we still do a lot of that contract development work. We still do a lot of that work for hire, and we still, of course, invest in Hive Jump and other new ideas. So, I think we're stronger for it.
Nice.
So, was there, going back into the development, so was there any aspects of the game that you wish that you would have added, or anything that you kind of said, maybe this we'll hold on to this in the event that we do a sequel or anything?
Oh, sure. Yeah. There's even now, like watching people play it, with the recent release, there's some things that I want to, go back and tweak. Some things are just for benefits of clarity in the game. Maybe some additional pop-ups or other tips, when you're in the hive, just to kind of make that more clear of where you should be headed and what you should be doing. Initially we wanted that to be very hands-off, kind of super arcade-like. But that was, when we were doing a lot of our testing on PC, I think that audience, was used to systems like early access and games that may have been missing some of that polish. So, we want to go back now and maybe clean some of that stuff up now that we're watching people interact with it on consoles. But certainly there's features, plenty that we could keep adding, additional bosses, weapons, tile sets. We talked about additional cave, visual styles and that sort of thing. So there's plenty that we could keep adding.
Are you thinking about keeping at it? I mean, is that something that's in the works? Is that you're thinking about adding more to this game as maybe a DLC or something else?
I think right now our focus is just in supporting launch, making sure that everything that's there is super solid and polished. But, as a developer, as a designer, my mind's always spinning about, what could make it more fulfilling, more fun, and longer lasting. So nothing really official or anything announced, but, we're always tinkering, always trying to poke the beast and see what else we can get out of it.
Sure. On your site, you also mentioned that you have 3 keys that help you stand out from other developers, and one of the keys is to have fun. What were some of the most fun or most cherished moments that you had while working on Hive Jump?
Oh, well, for sure, the going through Kickstarter was probably the most fun and the least fun at the same time. It's brutal. It's so much effort, so much work. But in terms of just like euphoria, to clear Kickstarter is also like one of the highlights of my career. And to launch the game is great, but something about Kickstarter being so connected and almost so like live and intense, everybody's watching. Oh man, it was just so crazy. So I think that's something that I'll remember forever, going through that final few hours and getting up over the hump and getting that Kickstarter passed.
Nice. And one of the things is if you are a backer, you get to name some of the jumpers. Is that did I right? Okay, that was cool.
Yeah, some of our best, like we get comments on the crazy names. Like so when you die in the Hive, a new jumper spawns in, and that name gets pulled from about 2,000 unique names that our backers. We had about 2,000 backers, so each one of them, no matter their backer level, got to contribute a name. And some of them were kind of not safe for work. We had to take out a few of them, but for the most part, they're just funny. I mean, they're funny, and they're and it's neat to see. Some of them are their own names, so to see and know somebody who backed the game and see them show up as a jumper is really cool. And it just, I think, added some charm to the overall final product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So when you were talking video game developers, a lot of them are coming from the West Coast. We don't get a whole lot in the Midwest. So you're located in St. Louis. So what do you enjoy about being a developer located in the Midwest and specifically St. Louis?
Yeah, well, St. Louis is my hometown. I was born here, so certainly I've got some personal connections to the area. And I didn't grow up here all my life. I was kind of Navy brat and bounced around quite a bit. But to come back to the Midwest, there's some additional good vibes and good feelings that we get from the community because they don't expect something like game development to be happening in St. Louis.
Yeah.
St. Louis is known for Anheuser-Busch beer and Cardinal baseball, and there's plenty of other things too. But video games is not something that comes to the community's mind first. So we've had a lot of fun changing that impression. So when we moved out here in 2009, there was maybe one other development studio here. Now there's 5 or 6.
Wow.
Riot Games, who's got League of Legends, is here. They have about 60 developers here in St. Louis.
Nice.
And there's several other teams that are doing fantastic work. So it's been fun, climbing that mountain and helping grow a community here. And there's, probably 200-300 developers here now, as well as one of the largest game jams happens here in St. Louis. And that'll be in a couple of weeks, I think.
Nice. Yeah, and I suppose that helps a lot, too, for recruiting talent. I mean, the more you have, the more ability you can say, hey, like this can be a hub, of talent being here. So that's awesome.
You bet.
So, Matt, what's next for Graphite Labs?
So we're continuing to do, and will announce shortly, some of these larger projects that we're doing with some of our partners. And we're continuing to grow our team to support Hive Jump now on Switch and on Xbox. And so, to kind of leave you with an analogy here, I mean, we're spinning these plates, right? And we've got a lot of energy and excitement in growing game development in this area and with our studio. So it's about making sure that our ability to make games as a service for other brands and other companies continues to grow, as well as our interest in original IP. So I'm hoping that we can execute on both of those. I hope fans really like Hive Jump, and I hope we're able to do more on that front in the coming years.
Nice. Yeah, we appreciate the fact that we had the opportunity to review the game, and that's on this episode. So if you didn't listen to that, this will be at the end of this episode. Go back and listen to the review. And yeah, we really loved the game. It's a great game, and it's really fun to stream. And we had a lot of good conversations, like Mike said, about the philosophy behind things. So
Sure.
that was fun. And listeners, you can get the game. It is just released on the Switch on Friday the 11th, and also on Xbox. It's also on PC. Is it also on PS4 too? Is that correct?
We're not on PS4.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a question we get a fair amount. We get that question, like, why do you hate Sony, Graphite? And it's not the case. We just haven't really, we just haven't chatted with those guys yet. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. How can people follow you or follow Hive Jump on Twitter or other social media?
Sure. So you can find us on Twitter at Hive Jump and Facebook just the same. You can find me on Twitter. My handle is Raitheo Show. So RAITHEOSHOW. And Yeah, we just launched our Instagram account for Hive Jump as well. So
Nice.
if you're searching Hive Jump in any of the most popular social medias, chances are you'll find us there.
Nice. Well, thanks again, Matt. Thanks for joining us. It was a real pleasure having you on the show.
Likewise, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for the
you.
support.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Thanks, listeners, and we'll talk to you next week.